Kana Aojibashi, a high school student, captures a picture of student council members engaged in a suspicious money exchange. Unexpectedly, she decides to return home. But her plans are suddenly changed when a car strikes her and a stranger destroys the evidence she has. The next day, Chisato Sumiyoshi forcefully wakes up Yuuki Ujima, the protagonist, for school. Their friend Mifuyu Kiba joins them, and they perform an amusing skit in the middle of town before reaching Takafuji Private Academy. This is where the trio's shared membership in the Food Research Club becomes evident. Within the club, Oboro Yumashima, the vice president, introduces his new creation, the Yaoi sticks, to everyone for a taste test. However, Chisato, the club president, refuses due to her dislike for white chocolate. Just then, Heizuki Shinano, a 23-year-old teacher and the club's advisor, rushes in, panic-stricken. Heizuki's revelation stuns everyone as she drops the bombshell that the Food Research Club is on the brink of being banned. The narrative then transitions to Satsuki Shinano, the finance commissioner of the student council. During the student council elections, she steps forward, unveiling her campaign manifesto, which targets the school's surplus of clubs. With an air of seriousness, she discloses her plan to trim down the club count, emphasizing that those lacking accomplishments will be hit with funding reductions and dissolution. Yuuki realizes that his club's existence hangs precariously in the balance as its record consists solely of snacking, with no tangible achievements. Thus, any protest from the Food Research Club seems futile as they face the impending threat of dissolution. It becomes clear to the club members that their only recourse is to take matters into their own hands by participating in the election. As they brainstorm a solution, a new challenge emerges. Their advisor, Heizuki, makes a surprising revelation. She discloses that Shinano is, in fact, her sister and the leading contender in the upcoming elections. Later, the food club members find themselves face to face with Tatsumi Moheji, the General Affairs Commissioner, who hides behind a mask as he secretly tries to sway support in his favor through bribes. His efforts even extend to giving Yuuki a prepaid card, urging him to back his election bid. Amidst this, a hurried encounter occurs when an unfamiliar student, a recipient of financial aid, accidentally bumps into Yuuki. Despite the haste, she pauses to apologize before hurrying away. Following these encounters, the group reconvenes within the club's sanctuary with a genuine concern about their club's future hanging over them. They make a crucial choice in response to the threat of dissolution. Yuuki is chosen as their unexpected candidate to run in the elections, a choice that completely shocks him and causes a surprised expression on his face. Yuuki raises his objections, insisting that he's ill-suited to be the student council president. Despite the unrelenting pressure from his fellow members, particularly Chisato, he remains steadfast in his disagreement. But as he explores the depths of his dreams, something unexpected happens. In a later dream sequence, Yuuki finds himself sitting next to Chisato at a wedding. In this surreal vision, the bride confesses that Yuuki and Chisato have romantic feelings for each other. He abruptly wakes up, accidentally touching Chisato's chest as she lies next to him. To his surprise, she does not take offense, leaving him flustered. Chisato accidentally falls to the ground, and Yuuki reveals his unwavering resolve to find the woman of his dreams. He then announces his intention to leave the Food Research Club, thereby withdrawing from the election contest. The scene shifts to the academy, where the finance commissioner officially releases her manifesto aimed at disbanding ineffective clubs. At the very top of the list, marked for dissolution, is none other than the Food Research Club. The club's members are debating whether Yuuki is the only person who can save the organization when, to everyone's shock, Chisato declares that he has declined. On the other hand, Satsuki accidentally collides with Yuuki while riding a bicycle. They both apologize to each other, and he teaches her the proper pronunciation of his name. Back at the food club, Yumashima decides to convince Yuuki but fails poorly. Meanwhile, Yuuki runs into the unknown financial aid student from yesterday and returns her house keys. It turns out that financial aid recipients are not allowed to join clubs because of school policy. Before leaving, she thanks him for his assistance and introduces herself as Ayami Asara, a first-year student. Later on, Yuuki accidentally meets Yakumo Mori, the current student council president, whose approval rating has fallen due to a scandal called the Asawa incident. Surprisingly, Yakumo advises him to run as a candidate in the upcoming elections and reveals that he'll support him. Meanwhile, the food club hatches a plan to get Yuuki back while he bumps into Satsuki again. They chat as he helps fix her bicycle chain, getting his hands dirty. Satsuki kindly lends him her handkerchief to clean up, and they discuss the upcoming elections. She suggests Yuuki run as a candidate, encouraging him. Yuuki asks why the food club is in jeopardy, and Satsuki responds that she does not consider it to be a proper club. Nonetheless, she inspires him to save it by participating in the race, and her words energize him. Back at the food club, Yuuki agrees to step up as a candidate, committed to protecting the club. Later that night, Yuuki and Chisato share a serious moment as they exchange chocolates, their bond growing stronger. Chisato takes charge by designating the food club room as their campaign hub for the impending elections. Meanwhile, Yuuki finalizes his decision to run as a candidate. Soon, a crucial aspect of Takafuji Academy's election process is unveiled. The school will first hold primaries before the main elections. This preliminary step demands that Yuuki secure victory in order to advance. Heizuki explains that primaries sift out weak and uninspiring contenders, individuals lacking popularity, financial backing, and solid policies. Unfortunately, Yuuki's attributes align with those of such candidates. Thus, he faces the challenge of gathering a minimum of 10% of the votes from the Academy's 6,000 students to clear the primary stage. In response, Chisato proposes a strategy of constructing a compelling manifesto that can easily attract supporters. Yumashima contributes an idea, distributing free yaoi sticks to draw attention. Unexpectedly, Yakumo enters the scene, offering his support for Yuuki's campaign. His presence surprises everyone and sets a new tone for their efforts. However, he unveils a rather self-serving reason behind his offer, despite being the president of the Public Safety Commission. The commission is determined to maintain its position and not cede power to the finance or general affairs departments. Backing an independent candidate like Yuuki for the presidency levels the playing field for the following year. A startling revelation follows. Yakumo discloses that Satsuki's approval ratings have plummeted by 10%. This decline is a result of students and clubs facing potential budget cuts rallying against her. This twist in public sentiment positions the Food Research Club as a reactionary choice, paving the way for swift support. Yet, Yakumo proposes building trust as he suggests a limited agreement valid until the primary election concludes. He outlines that if the Food Research Club gradually fosters faith in the Public Safety Commission, the agreement could be extended. Moving forward, Yakumo shares a surprising fact. Yuuki doesn't need to clinch the top spot in the primaries. A mere 600 votes are sufficient for him to clear this stage. Yakumo suggests a focused approach on protecting the clubs, a prominent policy for their campaign. In line with this idea, Yuuki and Chisato embark on a mission to secure support from other clubs. Meanwhile, Saru and Monzanaka take charge of gathering necessary signatures. Further in the story, Yuuki and Chisato request Ariake and Garage clubs to establish an election committee. The narrative then shifts to a secret meeting between Heizuki and her half-sister, Satsuki, where they discuss the upcoming elections. Satsuki reveals her ambition to outdo Heizuki by becoming the student council president, receiving Heizuki's well wishes in return. In a separate development, after completing their task, Yuuki and Chisato are worn out. She sends him to get coffee, leading to an unexpected encounter with Satsuki. A brief exchange of good luck unfolds between Yuuki and Satsuki right before a jealous Chisato confronts Yuuki, her anger evident. As night descends, Yuuki shares a dinner with his teacher, Heizuki. The undercurrent of Heizuki's hidden affection for Yuuki becomes apparent during their interaction, and it becomes evident that she secretly loves him. As Yuuki gazes at the various election candidate posters, he's struck by the heightened competition, leading him to question his own chances. A chance encounter with Ayami reveals a different kind of struggle. Yuuki notices that she's a target of regular bullying by her classmates, who belittle her and mock her hygiene. In an attempt to boost her spirits, Yuuki offers comforting words, assuring her that she possesses a delightful fragrance. He encourages her to embrace confidence despite the adversity she faces. Later, the members of the Food Research Club brainstorm methods to finance their campaign to promote Yuuki for student council president. It comes to light that the other three administrative bodies receive campaign funding from the school. Chisato calculates they require 30,000 yen for their campaign expenses. However, Heizuki discloses that the club funds are designated exclusively for club activities, leaving self-funding, and the possibility of a bazaar during the primaries as their options. Yakumo points out that the primary elections bazaar was initially established as a means to raise campaign funds. Therefore, the decision is reached that the Food Research Club will leverage the bazaar event as their avenue for raising campaign funds. They devise a plan to vend 20 Ujima rolls and 3,000 yaoi sticks, the latter being a product from Yumashima's father's company. Fortunately, Heizuki steps in, providing a loan of 30,000 yen to cover ingredient costs, and other necessary expenses. In another scene, Yuuki encounters Satsuki and engages in a conversation that unveils her motives for aiming to become the student council president. Satsuki shares that her manifesto extends beyond mere budget cuts. This revelation sparks an idea in Yuuki's mind. He recognizes the value of crafting his own distinctive manifesto. Simultaneously, Aomi faces distressing bullying from a group of 4 classmates. They subject her to humiliation by removing her undergarments and discarding them in a trash bin. Later on, while she's on the hunt for her missing undergarments, Yuuki comes by and offers his assistance. However, Aomi coldly turns down his offer. In subsequent events, Aomi's involvement in replacing the school's light bulbs becomes a source of apprehension, stemming from her lingering fear of being bullied. With most of the preparations in place for the primaries, Yuuki takes another shot at asking Mafuyu out on a date, only to be met with a rejection. Mafuyu discloses that she's enamored with someone else, but the truth is she's hesitant to risk her friendship with Chisato by admitting her true feelings to Yuuki. As events unfold, Yuuki takes on the task of baking the 20 Ujima rolls, while Mafuyu focuses on crafting the opening speech. During their shared endeavor, Mafuyu opens up about her past. She shares that she had been held back a year due to surgery after transferring to the school. This age difference made her a year older than her peers, leading to her being treated with respect and as someone special. However, this circumstance also left her feeling like an outsider in her class, causing significant stress. A turning point arrived when Chisato entered her life. Chisato's laid-back demeanor and approach helped Mafuyu find her place. This is why Mafuyu holds immense gratitude for Chisato and is determined to do everything possible to save the Food Research Club. Amidst the baking activity, a surprise guest arrives in the form of Shohama Hidaka, an ASP reporter. She discloses her mission to compile a directory of presidential candidates and requests an interview with Yuuki. He agrees, but the interview takes an unexpected turn, leaving things rather awkward. Soon after, Yumashima joins the scene, indulging in playful teasing directed at Yuuki. The atmosphere shifts as Nozomi, the former president of the Food Research Club, makes an appearance. She makes an unusual request for an Ujima roll from Yuuki, who declines. In a swift succession of events, Heizuki arrives to inspect the progress. However, her interaction takes an unexpectedly flirtatious turn with Yuuki, causing Mafuyu to feel puzzled. Mafuyu advises Yuuki to focus solely on Chisato, as her affection lies with him. He reassures Mafuyu that he's already tending to their relationship. A surprise arrives as Aomi enters the scene, announcing her intention to assist the Food Research Club until the campaign concludes. This unexpected show of support catches everyone off guard. As the primary elections finally commence, it becomes evident that Yuuki isn't the sole contender in the race. On the day of the primary elections, Yuuki faces an unexpected hiccup when he forgets his speech. Quick on her feet, Mafuyu rushes to print another copy for him. As the elections unfold, the Food Research Club devises a creative approach to gather campaign funds. They initiate a cosplay contest. The situation becomes overwhelming for Yuuki, prompting him to leave momentarily. During his absence, Mafuyu returns with the freshly printed speech script. In the midst of these events, Yuuki crosses paths with Tatsumi, his oppositional counterpart. Tatsumi extends an offer for collaboration, but Yuuki declines. A subsequent revelation, however, throws a wrench in Yuuki's progress. It turns out that Mafuyu had inadvertently handed him the wrong script for his speech. Amid the chaos, Mafuyu hurries to deliver the accurate speech script to Yuuki. However, the tension gets the better of her, and she unexpectedly loses consciousness. In a parallel event, Tatsumi seizes the stage for his speech and uses the opportunity to openly criticize Satsuki. He alleges that she had rubber-stamped dubious budgets, asserting that she lacks the credibility to criticize the present administration and isn't deserving of the student council presidency. Following Tatsumi's speech, Satsuki, the candidate endorsed by the Finance Commission, steps forward for her address. The audience erupts in cheers as she speaks. During her speech, she articulates her desire to rectify the irregularities in the student council's activities while also contributing to the student body. Tatsumi praises her straightforwardness and subtly hints to Yuuki that Satsuki's openness could potentially be used against her. In the midst of these developments, Mafuyu regains consciousness and rushes to deliver an accurate speech script to Yuuki. After absorbing Satsuki's speech, Yuuki finds himself impressed and decides to modify his own speech accordingly. However, an unforeseen twist unfurls. He realizes that his prepared speech is, in fact, a love letter penned by Mafuyu, leaving him perplexed and bewildered. As Satsuki's speech concludes, Yuuki steps up for his turn without altering the script. Mafuyu races to reach him in time, but unfortunately, she's held back by the authorities. Miraculously, a small error serves as the only barrier preventing Yuuki from delivering the incorrect speech. Nonetheless, he delivers a resounding speech, infused with passion, emphasizing the need to rescue all clubs threatened with disbandment. In the aftermath, an ASP reporter sheds light on projections indicating Satsuki and Tatsumi's likely victory in the primaries. However, he reveals a surprising twist. Yuuki stands a higher chance of winning than expected. Simultaneously, Hidaka reports live from the Food Research Club, presenting the ongoing primary results. The figures reveal that Yuuki requires just a 2% increase in votes to secure victory. Later, an update confirms Yuuki's success in surpassing the projected numbers for the primary elections. However, a new contender, Shirakawa Ayame, emerges as another independent candidate. If she garners more votes than Yuuki, he'll face defeat. Fortunately, the voting window closes, and Yuuki secures the third position in the primaries, securing his advancement. On the following day, Yakumo extends his congratulations to Yuuki for successfully advancing to the actual election. However, he points out that while clearing the primaries is a step forward, the upcoming real election will present even greater challenges. The existing popularity gap between Yuuki and the other candidates poses a significant hurdle. In a surprising revelation, Yakumo sheds light on the concept of iron votes. These are personal votes held by each candidate's party that cannot be transferred. Fortunately, Yuuki holds 600, Satsuki has 1,000, and Tatsumi boasts 14 iron votes. With a total student population of 6,000, this leaves 3,000 iron votes, which effectively means that the remaining 3,000 are swing votes. Yuuki's task now involves convincing people to cast their votes in his favor. Yakumo explains that since the Finance and General Affairs Commissioners are already members of the Student Council, their competition might appear as internal discord. Conversely, Yuuki's outsider status bestows an honorable light upon his candidacy, making him more appealing to voters. This quality proves advantageous for swaying voters, particularly when contrasted against Satsuki's revolutionary image in her campaign. Recognizing this, Yuuki decides to position himself as a revolutionary for the new order, aiming to contend with Satsuki and win over her supporters. Later, following dinner, both Chisato and Mafuyu recommend that Yuuki take a break. He seeks relaxation at the open-air baths, only to find Chisato joining him. Their close proximity flusters Yuuki as Chisato encourages him to touch her, a proposition he declines. Their intimate moment is interrupted by Yumeshima. Soon after, Yuuki observes a heated exchange between Satsuki and Heizuki revolving around personal matters. Later that night, Yuuki struggles to sleep and ventures outdoors, encountering a somewhat inebriated Heizuki. Unfortunately, his attempt to assist her lands him in further trouble as he inadvertently carries her into the girls' dormitory. In a fortunate turn, Satsuki intervenes, hiding him in her room and diffusing the situation. Yuuki explains his presence, and Satsuki hints at sensing something special brewing between him and Heizuki. Curious, Satsuki questions Yuuki if he kissed Heizuki, and he admits to it. Satsuki grasps that her sister has a knack for involving him in peculiar situations, yet she chooses not to delve further. As Yuuki prepares to depart, Satsuki suggests he wait for an hour. She explains that the girls are currently conducting patrols in the dormitory, implying that he might face unwanted attention if he leaves immediately. Stuck in the girls' dormitory with Satsuki, Yuuki gains insight into her family dynamics. Satsuki opens up about her sister, Heizuki, who one day abruptly left home. In the time leading up to her departure, Heizuki had distanced herself from the family, refusing any interaction. Satsuki's repeated inquiries about the reasons remained unanswered by both their parents and Heizuki. The silence persisted until Heizuki eventually left for good. Satsuki inquires if Heizuki has ever confided the reason for her departure to Yuuki, who responds in the negative. Later, with Satsuki's assistance, Yuuki manages to successfully exit the dormitory. In a surprising turn of events, as Satsuki leans in for a kiss, they're interrupted by the arrival of Heizuki. She splashes water on Yuuki before departing. The subsequent day sees the girls discussing a pervert who infiltrated the dormitory during the previous night. Yuuki intentionally feigns surprise at this revelation. During the night, Chisato expresses her frustration to Yuuki, stating that he's overly concerned about Heizuki and Ayami's well-being. To his astonishment, Chisato reveals her awareness of his presence as the supposed pervert who infiltrated the girls' dormitory the previous night. She questions his motive for being there. Yuuki, feeling flustered, stammers that he was merely playing shogi, but clarifies that Heizuki was heavily intoxicated. Following this exchange, Yuuki assures Chisato of his unwavering commitment, pledging to stand by her side through thick and thin. However, he candidly discloses that their relationship remains platonic, crushing Chisato's romantic aspirations. The revelation devastates her, prompting her to leave. Subsequently, after taking a bath, Yuuki encounters Heizuki once again, who's inebriated and sitting alone outside. He seizes the opportunity to ask her about her reason for leaving the family. Unexpectedly, Heizuki confesses her love for him. Feeling bewildered, Yuuki requests time to ponder his response, which frustrates her. Surprisingly, she proposes a shogi match with Satsuki, the victor gaining Yuuki as a prize. Additionally, she offers to share whatever information Satsuki desires as an added bonus incentive. As the shogi game unfolds, Heizuki discloses a shocking revelation. Satsuki is the offspring of their father's extramarital affair. Following the death of Heizuki's mother, their father married his mistress, who subsequently gave birth to Satsuki. This revelation sparks Satsuki's anger, leading to a heated confrontation where she slaps Heizuki. Satsuki demands that Heizuki apologize to their mother if she wins. However, Heizuki stuns everyone once more. She unveils her own painful journey, sharing that she initially believed herself to be the daughter of their father's first wife. It was later that she learned the truth. She was actually the illegitimate child of their father and his then mistress. After the death of his first wife, their father married the mistress, who gave birth to Satsuki. The weight of this revelation plunged Heizuki into depression, and she distanced herself from the family. Heizuki couldn't accept her biological mother, as she had deep affection for their father's first wife, who had cared for her. Satsuki is struck with realization and breaks down in tears. She embraces her sister, apologizing for her insensitivity. The two sisters reconcile as Satsuki acknowledges Heizuki as her older biological sibling. Their reconciliation overwhelms Yuuki with a sense of happiness, witnessing their profound connection and healing. A nightmare reveals Chisato's past, showcasing that she had a younger brother named Daiki who tragically passed away. This revelation sheds light on her deep emotional attachment to Yuuki. Meanwhile, the Public Safety Commission convenes a meeting to strategize for the upcoming election campaign. Yakumo discloses that if any commissioner from the existing parties wins, it could jeopardize their prospects for next year's election. However, they express their intention to support the independent candidate, Ujima Yuuki, who lacks party backing. One of their officers, an intelligence operative, is already working on the details, and strict confidentiality is stressed, particularly concerning the Katahira faction. The scene transitions to Yuuki, accidentally colliding with a bespectacled girl. This incident fuels Chisato's jealousy. Later, Yuuki crosses paths with Satsuki once more, witnessing an argument between her and Heizuki. Satsuki reveals that Heizuki played a trick on her the day before. During the shogi game, she became entangled in her own narrative and ended up losing. As a result, Yuuki was the prize she forfeited. Their conversation is interrupted by an angry Chisato. Subsequently, while Yuuki and Chisato distribute pamphlets, Heizuki appears, expressing gratitude for helping reconcile her relationship with Satsuki. Following this, Nozomi arranges an elaborate stage setup to attract potential followers who would vote for Yuuki. In the midst of their campaign efforts, Chisato's attention is caught by a pair of cheerful siblings playing together. This heartwarming scene triggers memories of her younger brother, Daiki, evoking a sense of sadness. Meanwhile, Yuuki persists in his pursuit of Mafuyu, once again asking her out, only to be met with her customary response that she's enamored with someone else. Shohama joins their group to report the Food Research Club's activities to the ASP. The campaign to attract followers continues with both Yuuki and Satsuki delivering spirited speeches. On a different note, Yakumo, the Public Safety Commissioner, instructs everyone to seize this year's opportunity as a means to better themselves. The speeches and pamphlet distribution progress, yet the situation takes a turn when Ayami encounters her bullies. Yuuki witnesses this and intervenes, fueled by anger. However, Chisato implores him to remain composed and manage his temper, given that he is in the midst of campaigning. In an unexpected twist, members of the Public Safety Commission arrive, reprimanding the bullies. Following this, Ayami reveals a disturbing incident involving a fellow financial aid student who was apprehended by the Public Safety Commission, leaving her traumatized. This very student was previously involved in the Usawa incident. Shortly thereafter, it emerges that an anonymous informant tipped off the Public Safety Commission about a financial aid student being involved in shoplifting from the school store. The commissioner, Usawa, took excessive actions during the investigation, revealing the suspect's name despite a lack of evidence. Consequently, the harassment against the accused intensified, ultimately forcing the individual to cease attending school. It was later revealed that the initial tip was a fabrication, and Usawa faced disciplinary action due to her unjust investigation. This led to President Yakumo assuming the role of commissioner in addition to his position as student council president. His return stabilized the situation, but the Public Safety Commission has yet to address the issue of harassment against financial aid students. Upon learning this, Yuuki is moved to include a policy in his manifesto. He pledges to combat discrimination against financial aid students, aiming to put an end to the unjust treatment they face. Conversely, Usawa is reinstated as the Public Safety Commissioner. Chisato voices her concern, urging Yuuki to reconsider his stance on the student aid policy due to the potential disadvantages it might entail for his campaign. Touched by Chisato's emotions, Yuuki reassures her that they're not growing apart. Meanwhile, Yakumo and Usawa engage in a conversation about Yuuki. Usawa unexpectedly expresses her intention not to align with Yuuki, citing that he won't succumb to becoming a puppet candidate. Subsequently, an update discloses that the disparity in ratings between Yuuki and Satsuki has narrowed considerably. While on his way home, Yuuki gets struck by a truck, leaving those around him in a state of shock. A flashback unveils the genesis of the bond between Chisato and Yuuki. They used to share chocolates, but one day, when he declined, Chisato burst into tears. It was on that day that Yuuki vowed to be there for her. Returning to the present, Yuuki narrowly evades the truck, escaping unharmed. However, the incident leaves everyone shaken, especially Chisato. Satsuki visits the Food Research Club to inquire about Yuuki's well-being and is relieved to learn he's alright. Later that night, Yuuki expresses his remorse to Chisato for his recklessness. Yet, when she labels him a liar, his frustration boils over. In a heated moment, he impulsively slaps her, leaving her in disbelief. Nonetheless, Chisato retrieves a piece of chocolate from her bag and extends it to Yuuki. She confesses her longing for his companionship and implores him to remain by her side. Yuuki grapples with his thoughts. He believes he's merely a stand-in for Chisato's late brother, Daiki. He thinks Chisato views him as a reflection of Daiki and fails to see his true self. Consequently, he perceives their connection as platonic, not romantic. He senses a growing emotional distance and realizes that he can no longer serve as a replacement for Daiki in Chisato's life. Yuuki makes a plea for Chisato to accept him as himself, Ujima Yuuki, rather than seeing him solely as a substitute for her brother. They spend the night apart, each grappling with their emotions. The following day, Yuuki delivers a campaign speech, notably without Chisato by his side. Upon returning to the Food Research Club room, Yuuki encounters Mikairu, who is searching for something. Sensing her discontent, Yuuki returns her musical instrument. She confides in him that she enrolled at Takafuji Private Academy to locate Kana, who has mysteriously gone missing. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Yakumo from the Public Safety Commission. He inquires about Chisato, to which Yuuki responds that she's unwell and has taken a day off. To Yuuki's surprise, Yakumo proceeds to sternly instruct him to abandon his stance on the student aid policy. He asserts that the Public Safety Commission's support is contingent on Yuuki not pursuing his own agenda. Consequently, Yakumo advises him to defer addressing the student aid issue until after the election, as he believes tackling it now could hinder Yuuki's chances of victory. Subsequently, Yuuki takes matters into his own hands and covertly trails Yakumo, leading him to uncover something deeply suspicious. He tracks Yakumo to Kana's room, where an unexpected turn of events unfolds. Yakumo strikes Yuuki's neck, causing him to lose consciousness. Upon regaining awareness, Yuuki finds himself in conversation with Yakumo. The Public Safety Commission, he reveals, maintains a semblance of security throughout the campus. However, given the expansive nature of the school, full control is impractical. As a result, they employ covert operatives, referred to as S-agents, to discreetly monitor fellow students and gather information for the Commission's use. In a startling revelation, Yakumo discloses that both Kana and Mikairu are agents working under his direction. This revelation casts a new light on their roles within the school and their involvement in Yakumo's schemes. Adding to the revelations, Yakumo unveils that Kana was the victim of an accident in December of the prior year, a targeted attack that ended in the destruction of crucial evidence. Following the incident, she fell into a coma. To preserve the secrecy of the S-Agent program, the incident's details were concealed, and Kana's existence remained a confidential matter. She presently receives treatment at a hospital overseen by a former Public Safety Commission member. While her condition has generally improved, recent developments have introduced complications. Meanwhile, Chisato finds herself alone in her room until Mafuyu comes to visit. Shifting back to Yakumo's account, he discloses that the hospital has ties to the Katahira faction, which has given rise to internal conflict and rivalry within the commission. One of the hospital's conditions for accepting Kana was the appointment of Usawa as the Public Safety Commissioner. Expressing his dissatisfaction with Yuuki's disregard for Chisato's feelings, Yakumo discloses that the Katahira faction is now using blackmail to coerce him into ceasing all support for Yuuki. The ultimatum: if he doesn't comply, they will let Kana perish. In response to the pressure and threats, Yakumo severs his ties with Yuuki, formally ending their collaboration. However, he takes an unexpected turn by contacting Mikairu and providing her with the location of Kana in the Hatsushiba General Hospital. Acting on this information, Mikairu successfully orchestrates Kana's escape from the facility. Yakumo's warning to Yuuki is stern. If any harm befalls Kana, the consequences for Yuuki will be dire. Meanwhile, Mikairu shares a touching moment with Kana, indulging her in music with her instrument. To everyone's surprise, Kana awakens from her coma. Yakumo locates them and is overcome with emotion, shedding tears of relief and joy. As events unfold, Yuuki reconciles with Chisato, mending their relationship. The following day, he participates in a debate with fellow presidential candidates and witnesses a surge in his popularity polls, surpassing the others. However, on their way home, Yuuki is struck by a sudden recollection, realizing that he has long been in love with Chisato. Moved by this realization, he embraces her. Yet, this fleeting moment of peace is shattered when the Katahira faction strikes and Chisato is abducted. The morning after the attack, Yuuki regains consciousness to find himself amid a grim situation. His phone rings, and a voice on the other end, belonging to the unknown kidnapper from the Katahira faction, gives him a chilling ultimatum: meet them at a specific phone booth in front of the Takafuji school gate by 7 a.m., or Chisato's safety won't be guaranteed. As the day progresses, malicious rumors about Yuuki tarnishing his reputation for the election campaign spread like wildfire. Determined to save Chisato, he diligently follows the kidnapper's instructions, navigating from one location to another in a tense cat-and-mouse game. Simultaneously, Usawa encounters Kana, probing for information regarding the incriminating evidence. Mikairu intervenes just in time to prevent Kana from disclosing the truth. Heizuki contacts Yakumo, and Shiohama reveals the extent of the ASP department's connection with the General Affairs Commission. Despite the manipulative ploys aimed at derailing him, Yuuki's perseverance pays off when Yakumo gets in touch, revealing that Chisato is being held captive in the storage vault of the lock gate. With renewed determination, he races against time, following a trail of hints and clues that lead him through a tumultuous journey around the city. Unexpectedly, Yakumo steps in to assist Yuuki after discovering Usawa's involvement in the incident. It's revealed that Usawa was responsible for running over Kana and had sinister plans in motion. Her attempts are thwarted, and she is ultimately arrested for attempted murder and her role in the school's troubles. In the aftermath, Yuuki emerges victorious in the election, becoming the president of Takafuji Private Academy, while Satsuki takes up the position of vice president. Later on, Yuuki and Chisato visit her late brother's grave, sharing a poignant moment that culminates in a heartfelt kiss, symbolizing their deep connection and journey together. What will happen to the Katahira faction? Will Yuki be able to successfully implement a better policy for the financial aid students? Find out in the next episode, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.